we do not always get to set the priority for our major projects. We must often look to our national leadership for that. After the Paris attacks, President Obama spoke on television and laid out a major effort to respond. We listened to our leader and got into action. I am a technical designer and futurist specializing in the big picture, and I work on how to use new science to directly address the problems of the 21st century. I soon realized that the process that I had been working on to revitalize space exploration was well suited to the specific task of disempowering ISIS. Although not at first obvious, it is a good fit. This non-violent approach is not fast and it is not sure, but in the end it is powerful. This approach will take the latest science and it will take the efforts of many teams of people organized over the internet. It may take several years' effort to even find out if it will work, so it is time to start. The Watson materials will cut down that development time by powerfully organizing the data and helping people to buy into the needed work. This is a great match, particularly for a rapid prototype. This type of design work starts the effort with a need at the bottom, but soon jumps to the big picture at the top. The work then iterates between top and bottom until you meet yourself in the middle. The top of this design is the blue marble Earth in the 21st century. It is the whole Earth, because the great problems we now face, terrorism, global warming, etc., are global. It is the 21st century, because that is our time, and the 21st century is like no other. We must deal with the Earth in the 21st century on its own terms. And it is so easy to forget what century we are in and pretend we are in a simpler time and place. If we now look at the images of success we are actually providing for our young people, we find a great void. Most of the available images are about zombie apocalypse, or robots running amok. Images of believable people in effective action to address the real problems of the 21st century are few and far between. It is not that the 21st century is not challenging. It is the most challenging century ever. The 21st century is many things, but it is not boring. The problem is simply that we are not depicting either the real challenges or real solutions. This leaves a great void, where even the murderous vision of ISIS can take root. Our task then is to fill that void. We must fill it with examples and stories of people that real people can identify with, stories of people who are in action on the great problems of the 21st century. In our first prototype, we wrote a few such short stories, but we need many more examples of real people in real action. For our second prototype, By and for Earth, Watson can definitely help us search out powerful examples. We can start with our few stories and many TED Talks, but then need to expand our field. If we fill that vision of success void, then we will disempower ISIS. This we can do. As a non-violent effort, we will not confront them directly. In fact, this is the last time we need to even mention ISIS by name. Our process will slowly render them powerless by hamstringing their recruitment, and they will then fade from existence. Buy-in is a module in the human brain that involves the connection of the visual and language centers. It evolved to help people work in small social groups with everything from organizing a hunt to building a village longhouse. It is old and it is very useful. It is a foundation for all civilization, but it does have limitations, and we need to recognize these limitations in the design of our app. We can now build an app that invites people to buy into Earth by getting into action on the great problems of the 21st century. When people buy into a project, they get in action and they stay in action. This is how we built everything from the Great Pyramids, through the Gothic cathedrals, to Apollo to the moon. It is how the human race works together to do big things. Buy-in is by invitation only. If you try to force someone to buy into your idea, it very quickly becomes a hard sell and usually makes the person angry. For this reason, you cannot scare people into buying in, and this is a serious mistake that the environmental movement often makes. A well-designed buy-in presentation can get 5% of the audience into initial action. That is all it takes to generate a great movement. You have only one vision center in your brain. It is at the back of your head and it is needed both for analyzing what you see and for daydreaming. Have you ever noticed that you are not paying any attention to what you are looking at when you are daydreaming? If you need the person to daydream about their success with your idea, then you must deliver the final element of your message with language, while leaving the visual field boring for the moment. If buy-in has occurred, the person will first be moved to language. It could be only a word or phrase, like cool, but it will be language and we need to accommodate it. On the internet this can be accommodated with a blog or other interactive media. After language, the person will need an opportunity to be in action. Again, on the internet this can be accommodated with links to appropriate websites. These features are easily built into our new Watson app. Long ago I wrote code. In fact, code I wrote set the record for the most repeat flights in the Space Shuttle Bay for a scientific instrument at 8, all successful. Does anybody even remember 4th? But all that now seems like it took place in the early Pleistocene. The problem is that I have not coded in a long time. Clearly I needed to find coding members for my team and the div post team building feature came through. Our problem then is to code a prototype Watson app, to test if buy-in for addressing the great problems of the 21st century can be generated in people by software. The code is written in 7 steps. 1. Setup sets up this app and displays a graphic. Displays a short purpose statement. 2. Get problem asks for a username to use. Asks for the problem. Either 1 takes a specific problem, 2 chooses a problem from a list, or 3 runs a Watson Trend API on most commonly discussed great problems of the 21st century. 3. Run main search runs a detailed retrieve and rank API on the great problem with filters. Looks specifically for examples of people in action on the specified great problem. Filters out zombie apocalypse. 4. People offered offers links to examples of real people in action, many will be TEDs. 5. Offer invitation presents invitation to action in the form of language. 6. Talk possible offers link to blog in case the person is moved to language. The number of people moved to language is our primary data point. 7. Closing saves, as needed to support learning feature for username. Provides comments on team, purpose, and URL link.